The new Parkway Theater, where good food, diverse entertainment, and community create a place for everyone. For showtimes and special events, check out www.thenewparkway.com. You are listening to High School 5-0, where real talk is our vernacular.
Pedro, you
Antonio
back?
Brown is going to slide into a team like he's sliding chicks DMs on Instagram.
Yep.
Sliding with a burner account?
Man, he's sliding with his real account. He don't try to hide. He ain't Kevin Durant. He ain't got no burner account. It's as we saw when he sent the text to his boys and the girl and the woman who he's mad at. Like, he ain't hiding nothing. AB is coming in. No burner account necessary. I'm going to put my name to make sure you got that check mark on mine, so you know my Instagram account's official.
You know it's keeping it real. What's up, Pedro? You back, Pedro? Pedro.
I didn't pay my cell phone bill, and I only got 2 minutes left. Thanks for having me on the show, people. Thank you.
You're welcome, man. You're on your 2-minute drive.
Come on.
You're on your 2-minute drive. Hurry up.
He had that prepaid Metro PCS. Let's stay in football, but let's shift gears.
All right, what are we going to next?
You know what? Let's go into, because we've been spending a little time. I'm gonna skip us down to Calvin Johnson. Did you guys read the Calvin Johnson article?
Nah.
Yeah, I did.
Tell me a little bit more.
Y'all niggas don't read.
I read it, but I like you to explain it too. So people know the audience knows.
All right, so in football news, Sports Illustrated has been breaking some stories recently. We'll get to the other story they broke, but Sports Illustrated is making a comeback. They came up with an article about Calvin Johnson, interview with Calvin Johnson about his playing career and why he retired, and does he have regrets, and just what made him decide to retire at the age of 29 or 30, when he's still in his prime.
Probably Matthew Stafford. That would make me retire too.
Matthew Stafford would make me retire also. Matthew Stafford is like a plus version of Derek Carr. I'll get to that later though. But what I will say is, a couple things he said that were really interesting. Number one, he said that he smoked weed after every game to deal with pain and healing, because he said he noticed how easy it was to get opioids, and opioids was just like basically if you wanted any kind of Percocet, Vicodin, any kind of opioid they could get you, but he didn't like the way it made it feel, and he wasn't trying to get hooked on that shit. So one thing is he smoked weed, which he has a cannabis company right now that he's started up with a former teammate, but he also sees an issue with how much opiates are just readily available in the league. The other thing he said is that he would have played longer if the team was better and didn't have as much of a dysfunctional, wasn't run so dysfunctionally. One thing he brought up was they had a massage therapist one year, and the next year it's a new massage therapist. No consistency with the staffing. One head coach hired his son-in-law to be the offensive coordinator or something like that. They didn't listen to John Kidner when he said this is a terrible offense, we're going to go 0-16, or we're not going to win a game unless we change this up. And that season they went 0-16. So a lot of things about dysfunction, the team not being run well, and basically being about the bottom dollar, not trying to win. And it was crystallized for him when he retired. And the team, to save money on the salary cap, asked for him to pay back some of his initial signing bonus. Other teams haven't asked for that back typically. If a player retires under good running with the team, it has been an exemplary, teammate and citizen within that community. Like, you would think that, keep the money, you put your body through a lot, but they asked him for some of his signing bonus back. So he, to this day, will not go to a Lions event.
Yeah, the Lions is a poorly run organization. And the worst part about them taking the salary cap back, the signing bonus back, was the fact that it was only like $1 million. It was that was just cheap.
It was like 1.5.
Yeah, it was like 1.5. That's just cheap. It's one thing when you ask for like teams taking someone gets cut or they break the law and you take their $5 million, $20 million back. That makes sense.
Or say like $30 million.
$30 million.
That dude Andrew Luck who got to keep his signing bonus because they're you've been a good citizen, even though you ain't gonna make it to the Hall of Fame. Even though Calvin Johnson gonna make it to the Hall of Fame, you ain't gonna make it to the Hall of Fame, so you can keep your money.
And they were just being cheap, and that shows you how poorly. I agree with them. Detroit's poorly ran, right?
Right.
It's a poorly ran organization. The second thing is the weed thing. I think part of that was to promote his own weed company. They don't test for weed during the season.
Yeah.
He's not the only player to smoke weed. That's the only thing. I was like, if he didn't have his weed-based company, I would agree a little bit more with him. But I know he's trying to plug it. I don't have a problem with him plugging it, but that's what he's doing. Because there's a reason the NFL don't test during the season. They do allow you to smoke weed during the season. You are allowed. As long as you're not one of those people that's in the drug program.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Can smoke.
Because Le'Veon Bell and...
I just said, as long as you're not in what? The drug program. Meaning you didn't get caught in the off-season. You're allowed to smoke weed during the season. They don't test you for those drugs. They only test for PEDs during the season.
Okay.
They only test for PEDs during the season.
Because didn't Le'Veon Bell and... What's the other running back that they used to have?
The other running back, James Conner, Deuce Staley.
No. He was at the same time as Le'Veon Bell when they first got that. No, the other one.
Fast Willie Parker.
Willie Beeman?
He's hella big. Fuck.
Franco Harris.
No, hella big.
Jigaboo Harris?
Rocky Byer.
No. Why you going hella far back?
Merrill Hodge.
John Coon?
Never mind. Name the names,
I have no
man.
idea who you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea who you're talking
But
about.
Le'Veon Bell was there. He played like every snap.
He touched the ball like 500 times a season.
Yeah.
He went with,
That's all that nigga said. I'm holding out.
He went with New England. He went to New England, and then after New England, he went to Detroit.
Oh, you talking about the smoking weed dude, LeGarrette Blunt?
Yeah.
I mean, his last
that's
name is
how.
Blunt. Well, remember? Do you remember they didn't get suspended
They did.
Yeah, he got
from the team, right? It was a team suspension. Le'Veon Bell did he miss a game that year? I don't remember.
I think he missed.
No.
He missed a couple of games the
They
very
got
next
caught.
year.
They got caught. I don't think he got suspended.
They said LeGarrette Blunt was doing that
But
SI cover with your boy Russell Wilson.
Come on, man.
Bro, you didn't see that either, bro. I saw an article. This is a couple years ago when he was I think on the Lions, and they were doing a photo shoot for like the Lions like presser, and they said this fool was packing, and it's like one thing they didn't pay attention to or try to Photoshop out was the size of LeGarrette Blunt's dick bulging through them tights in the photo shoot.
So he's like Russell Wilson in that.
He's out there. He was out there.
No, LeGarrette Blunt, he probably went and had a Playboy magazine and got himself a little, made his nature rise before the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, he looks.
Yeah,
But anyways, yeah.
No, but
so
remember, see, that's part of it. Part of the thing is, it's just like Allen Iverson when the NBA weed wasn't illegal till like what 99 or something. The reason they made it illegal because you didn't get suspended unless you got caught by the police, unless you got arrested. The league didn't want you looking bad. Look, they're like, look, these are our rules. We don't test for this during the year. Just don't fail it during the off season and don't get caught by the police. LeGarrette Blunt and Le'Veon Bell got caught by the police. Yeah, it's not illegal. They don't test for it unless you're in the substance abuse program. So a lot of players, say, look,
Yeah.
this is what we use. This is why we want it legalized. Because we're using this
And a lot of them
to
are-
fight our pain.
A lot of them are starting to live in cities and states that it's illegal. It's legal. It's legal beyond that work, and so it's going to be a big collective bargaining chip on the table in the next collective bargaining agreement, which comes up next year, right? 2020.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see where they move with the weed laws, because you also are losing some of your best players and your most entertaining players at times, not always, but you're losing some of your best talents. To people being suspended for marijuana, which is like it's kind of unnecessary. It's like NFL, like the country has shifted. Like there's weed wines now. There's weed boutiques. There's motherfuckers are able to recreationally smoke it in like a dozen states. People can get it medically in double that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a movement. It's something that we should be cognizant of and at least offer. I think that's what his main point is. You can get any hard ass drug that can fuck up your whole, liver, fuck up your ability to drop a clean deuce, you know what I'm saying, and just put you in a whole nother mindset and get you addicted hella easily, hella quickly, versus having another alternative as being like some kind of CBD or cannabis based product that would be less addictive and less harmful to the rest of your immune system, you know what I'm saying,
And
or your
here's the thing,
internal
like,
organs.
The NHL, cocaine is not an illegal substance. It's been NHL's dirty secret.
They like that chewy ooey.
Because remember the one who's married to, who's that ESPN announcer, blonde hair, not that cute, but everyone act like she's gorgeous.
Bradley, not Bradley.
The one that got caught, that the dude put a camera up to her peephole and filmed her naked. Erin Andrews. Erin Andrews. So remember, she's married to, was it Stove? It used to be with the Kings.
I have no
And
idea.
so he got arrested in Vegas. He got arrested for something, and the dude was high as hell, and he had so much cocaine on him. It's been a dirty secret. Like, NHL has had so many players arrested with cocaine, like, on them, right? And so they actually did a random test, and it was random. It was identities kept a secret.
Nobody getting suspended.
No one gets suspended because it's not illegal in the NHL. But they wanted to see because they're thinking about the next collective bargaining, making it illegal, right?
And a couple players have been caught with it, so like, do we need to start testing for it?
So they're like, we're gonna start testing because they don't want what happened with Major League Baseball and you get Congress coming down on you, right? Problem was when they did their testing, too many players tested positive, and they're like, all right, we gotta start entering. We can't make it illegal yet, but we gotta start getting people to get off of this now because it's like ridiculous. It's the NHL's dirty secret.
They need us to start finding players. Play, hey man, you can do that yayo, but you might get fined, player. Antonio Brown was released by the Patriots on Friday, which there were some funny memes about, him being fired on a Friday, and then more or less, yeah, he was released amid a sexual assault allegations and this lawsuit, federal lawsuit, coming up. So it started with a former trainer of his that was a friend in college or an associate in college. They seem to have a friendly and maybe more than friends type dynamic going on. Some videos came out to kind of build that side of the story. But the main thing is, like, just because you have a relationship with somebody or have more than that doesn't mean that you can't also do some vile shit. And from her stories and some text that he sent, it looked like he knew of at least one of the incidences that she was talking about, and it just did not look good. And then secondly, Sports Illustrated again came out with another article about an artist who accused him of exposing himself to her and basically being butt naked while she was painting, and she turned around and saw his ass butt naked, and standing right in front of her, kind of insinuating as though there was some kind of sexual act to come from her doing the artwork in her house. Not to mention, apparently, she has not been paid in full for the services of the mural or artwork that she was doing for that. Anyways, all those things, piling on, and then Thursday came out that he sent some texts in a group text with pictures of her and her family saying, I need y'all to investigate her and figure out who she is, and included her on the text as a seeming a way of maybe intimidation to let her know that his associates and people, that his lawyer and all these other people were going to be investigating her for, basically chasing money and trying to extort him. And when those allegations came out and the proof was kind of within the actual text that it was his number and it was, people that were his lawyer and the other business associates were on that text stream, including her, the next day the Patriots ended up releasing him. So Antonio Brown is no longer on any team, and apparently he is going to be on the next episode of ESPN 30 for 30 Broke, Aaron.
I predicted this years ago that he was going to be on Broke 2.
This is Broke 3.
Broke 3. He's going to be on Broke 3.
He's going to be on Broke AB. He's going to get his own edition. It's going to be Dave Chappelle presents When Keeping It Real Goes Wrong, ESPN 30 for 30 Broke 3.
Especially, he has no income coming in.
He's like, can you spell broke with the letters A and B in it?
Can't spell it without it. Even if the word's broken.
And he had to give back the $9 million that he signed as the signing bonus for the Patriots.
Yeah, so essentially he made like $150,000 for playing last week. He's not getting the $9 million signing bonus or the $5 million signing bonus that was going to be due this week for him still being on the team. So if we want to rehash everything, Antonio Brown has essentially went from $30 million guaranteed to the Raiders, but from the Raiders if he had been on the opening day roster, to $15 million for signing with the Patriots, and everyone thought he might have been a genius to get away from that terrible dumpster fire of the Raiders, to now making only $150,000 and not having any guaranteed money from the original $30 million that people have been talking about from the get-go. So Antonio Brown is basically out 29.85 million from what he could have been had he just been quiet or just played it a little more smoother and not been Antonio Brown.
Not be himself and text threatening and texting pictures of her kids to his friends.
Oh my God.
While including her on the text.
Yeah,
that was another mistake of how ignorant he is.
I think we need to come up with a new colloquial term or a term in our vernacular, and it's called "don't AB yourself." You know what I'm saying? Because basically this nigga just AB'd himself. He's the first Negro. He's not the first Negro to AB himself, but he is the most current figure, prominent figure, with everything you know, everything is set up for you, man. You misbehaved a little bit. You wasn't the most wholesome person, and you're gonna still make money, and to the point where now he is not gonna make no more money. Nope. And it's not about money. It's not all about money. It's all about principles and ethics. You know, having integrity as to who you are. But AB, that's not reflected when you AB yourself.
No, foolish thing ever.
Well, you know, you brought up him driving into camp a couple years ago with the white dude driving the Rolls Royce, and I kind of like that. I was like, man, there you go, Sankofa, baby, show that black power. You know, you got a white servant. But at the same time, it was definitely a red flag of where's this Negro's head at right now. And as much as AB, you know what I'm saying, was trying to be himself, be a character, he had Dancing with the Stars, or he was on the Masked Singer, shout out Masked Singer sponsorship episode coming out this week.
Which he taped before the season was over last year.
Yeah, he was given a star, and people were giving him that star, and he just took it and he ran with it like he did that ball, and just like your boy Forrest Gump, he ran out the stadium with that ball, and we like, man, just stay in the stadium. And he's like, nah, nigga. It's like, I want to run to Candyland. I'm trying to hang out with Tekashi 6ix9ine. And people said, we ain't playing football out here, nigga.
AB stands for already broke. He's going to be broke soon.
Hey, shout out. That's our new term. We're trademarking it here. Trademark sponsorship, copyright sponsorship. We trademarking it here. Who's that dude? DJ Khaled. Don't be trying to bite off our style. You got your phrase. You just played yourself that everyone has said a long time before you, but you trademarked it. You know, you turned it into something where people, you know, you played yourself.
Trademark it?
He says it a lot.
Shout out to the people at the trademark office for keeping these ignorant fools from trademarking phrases and words.
Taco Tuesday.
Tuesday, yeah.
I mean,
hey, yeah, shout out to the trademark office. We appreciate you for not allowing them to have that. If you did, we need you to sponsor us with the money that you're making off the royalties from that. But anyways, we got our own new phrase. It's called ABing yourself. You've been AB'd, or you AB'd yourself. So look out for that in future episodes, because we about to play that up and make some money off it. Anyways, AB sponsorship. If you got some money of that $150K or the other millions you made before that, sponsor our show. We will talk glowingly of you if you sponsor us.
The other thing is that his agent has came out and said that he is getting interest from other teams. I would like to know what these teams are, or who they are, and how desperate they are if they need AB.
It's the NFL, man. Just like Robert Kraft. Look, Robert Kraft got him to win. Yeah. Robert Kraft, every red flag was there. You think Robert Kraft cared about that red flag?
Robert Kraft said he rubbed him the wrong way.
He didn't rub Robert Kraft the wrong way.
Lynn at that massage parlor might have rubbed him
always.
She rubbed him the right way, actually.
The right way. That's all he remember. AB rubbed me the wrong way. Boy, that woman that couldn't speak no English loved me long the right way.
This is the one from the sandwich shop. She knew how to rub me the right way, and AB did not rub me that way.
Like Robert Kraft, she didn't speak English. She spoke too much English. That's what he probably said. She spoke too much.
Like, AB speak too much English while he rubbing me this way. AB done did himself, and he didn't know how to just sit back and be quiet and just put his head down and get to what is it that is bringing you the most exposure and money. It's your talent as a football player. And I don't want to simplify a player to being just a football player, but in this case, the best thing for AB was to just be a football player. And you know, he's allowed his personal life to become the biggest issue and the most bright thing about his star, and his star is starting to fade because of it. And I think he'll probably be back in the league at some point, but it's going to be on a very team-friendly contract. It's going to be on a team. If he gets back this year, which I highly doubt, it's going to have to be with a team that has an injured star receiver, and the NFL has decided not to decide on his fate or his, whether he's going to get suspended or anything until after the season. You know what I'm saying? Like where, we're gonna continue to gather information and we'll decide on it in the off season. If they do that, then maybe you'll get a team to sign him. But if they don't do that, and he still has this investigation looming over his head, not to mention the federal investigation, like a team will put up with your own off the field issues if the NFL doesn't have to investigate it. It's like, man, you gotta you know what I'm saying, you got a parking citation. You got to go to court for that. Like, you know, so like you had an unpaid parking ticket. The NFL's like, whatever, go ahead and deal with that on your own. You got to go to court for a day. We ain't tripping. But you have a federal investigation on you for the time being. Like until that gets some kind of clarity. But until the NFL is not investigating you, you're not getting signed.
So NFL's cool with like civil litigation and civil court. Once you go federal,
well,
that's a whole
it's
nother
still
thing.
a federal, but it's civil federal, right?
I don't.
It's still a federal. It's still a civil
but
case.
it's being filed.
Not
It's being filed in federal court. So that's the main
thing.
thing.
It's still a civil case, though.
It's
and the NFL wasn't.
It's, dude. No matter what, it's going to be always called a federal investigation. It's a federal lawsuit, and you know, Aaron, you always talk about protect that shield, or you know, the NFL is all about protecting that shield.
Yeah.
The NFL does not need. The NFL does not need, nor do any teams need, federal lawsuit and indictment and investigation in and around their teams and their brand, and they don't want to deal with that. And so I understand why he's not going to be in the league this year unless that gets resolved fairly quickly. I don't understand why Colin Kaepernick is not in the league, but we ain't gonna get to that right now. You know, shout out to Colin Kaepernick sponsorship.
Because he ain't thrown a pass in 3 years.
Can I just ask, did Aaron Hernandez ever get released by the Patriots?
Yeah, they released him eventually. Once they realized he was a murderer, they're like, this is too much. Like when he went to the facility and then he left, and then the police were following him, and the news cameras were following him in his car while he was driving around the city.
Right then.
And they were like, it's time to go. He got to go. We got to let him deal with this. But Aaron, you sent me this morning a link to Antonio Brown basically starting off the morning on Football Sunday by just sending out a barrage of tweets.
Well, when he got released, he sent out a tweet thanking the Patriots for the opportunity. And it was like blessed. It was all these great stuff.
It was like I was like, all right, that's the right step, just to be okay. And then what happened today though, Aaron?
So then this morning I wake up to see Antonio Brown set up a series of tweets. I'm not playing it ever again in the NFL until these owners can't recant on they promises and deals that they have for guaranteed money. Then he said Robert Kraft was caught in a massage parlor down in Florida, and here I am getting released. Big Ben. And then he put up the Big Ben article. Big Ben accused of sexual assault. He was calling everybody out.
So AB said, will not be playing in the NFL anymore. These owners can cancel deals, do whatever they want at any time. We will see if the NFLPA hold them accountable. Sad they can just void guarantee. So it sounds like AB just wants his money.
It sounds like AB needs to realize
this may be one battle we might lose to the man.
Dude, like, if you just want your money, shut
up, man.
Play.
Just shut up and play.
He need to come out like my boy Uncle Jimmy and say,
I think I'd like to recant my comment.
Recanter. He said recanter, not recanter. That's the problem. If he did speak, that's exactly the vocabulary he would use.
Well, you know, the other funny thing he did is he threw another person. He threw Shannon Sharp's sexual assault case out there because Shannon Sharp tweeted that he was acting like a clown, and so I think Antonio Brown is burning any bridges back into the league. Like if he's like, man, you gonna throw an owner under the bus right now?
One of the strongest owners. Like, there's 3 owners in football that are strong. We all know Jerry Jones.
Yep.
Robert Kraft.
Yep.
Now those are the strongest football wise, and then the strongest money wise is Stan Kroenke. So you cannot talk shit about those owners.
You can't come at them without expecting to if they're influencing the owners' meetings, or if they're influencing, you know, the direction of the league. You don't want to get on those guys' bad side, regardless.
You'll never make it anywhere.
But I do think he brought up a good point about, you know, your boy Robert Kraft, you know, taking advantage of basically a sex trafficking ring, and you know, you see how quickly that was, you know, brushed under the bus.
He paid for a service.
He paid for a service, but when you look at the grand scheme of things,
when I buy an iPhone, I don't ask where the parts come from.
Hey,
I just bought my phone.
I know, but that's something that I still think as somebody who has a conscience should consider and keep in mind. I'm not saying. Look,
the NFL has no conscience.
So then I know that, but we're not saying that. I'm just saying, like, we still have to be able to break down and like actually play with the ideas and the concepts that are in play. If we're not going to do that, then we're just the lemmings and sheep to the herd that are just going with whatever is, and we're no better than anybody else to, you know, call out for any type of social economic justice. You know what I'm saying? So that's my point, is that we have to be able to at least dissent or talk about it, or at least, you know, come to some understanding about it, so that as people, we aren't just another cog in a system that has proven to be unjust or unequal, and having inequality as a core tenet of it. If we're going to play along with other forms of inequality without even questioning and trying to find lines of correlation or understanding that will connect us instead of divide us. We can talk about Antonio Brown all we want, but we also have to look at the bigger picture. He's not the right messenger to be calling out Robert Kraft, but at the same time, there is an interesting dichotomy being played of who has, the right resources, the right representation to get away from something that is, if we're going to look at it as all bad, if we're going to look at everything as represented as that is bad behavior, that is terrible behavior, there are no breaks on that, then we also have to consider that. AB's done what he's done. He's accused of doing what he's done. Robert Kraft we have physical, actual evidence. You can't play around with provide the evidence anymore. We have real evidence of him going in and getting handy J's. He's probably
not sexual assault.
I'm not saying it's sexual assault, but every time that you have somebody who's been sex trafficked, that is sexual assault, because that person is not there under their own will. They didn't choose to be a hand job massage therapist necessarily, or to have sex. So they didn't choose that. So it's like somebody who's been kidnapped and put into has been kidnapped or sold to a pimp. Somebody who did not choose to do that, and they're being sold or used in that way to pay off some deed. How is that not some form of sexual assault? That's what I'm saying. That is a form of sexual assault, because it's not of their own free will to say, hey, I want to do this as a form of living.
So my question is, who is the right person to speak out about it, especially Robert Kraft? My opinion would have been Tom Brady.
Well, Tom Brady's not going to do anything.
Tom Brady write your checks.
Tom Brady's already bought in. Tom Brady's not going to sell out. Tom Brady is not going to backstab the person who has basically stood by him and all that stuff.
So that's the morals and ethics of it. Even though he is paying my checks, I got to say something about it. I got to say that it's wrong.
Yeah,
but you don't hear nothing from him.
I'll be honest. I don't take much in the court of public opinion. To me, whether it's to me, it's like the OJ case. Hey, you know what? I to this day, I'll tell you, I thought he was guilty the minute I heard everything. The minute he was in the back of that damn Ford Bronco. The minute he was in, I knew he was guilty. I thought he was. In my opinion, he was guilty. He got off. Oh well, it's time to move on. He got off. I don't care what the court of public opinion say. Robert Kraft, guess what? The legal technicality is he got off. The means of taping and all that wasn't supposed to happen.
We got a guest. We got a guest calling in.
Is it loud enough?
Hello. Is this the 510 high score podcast?
Yeah. Pedro. Hey, Pedro.
Our 510 podcast.
Our friendly truck driver, Pedro.
Hi.
Hey, what's up?
My name is Pedro Craig. Remember me? I'm a first-time caller, long-time contributor.
Well, thank you, Pedro.
Hey, Pedro, we talking about AB right now. Hey, what you think about AB?
Oh, Antonio Brown. Yes, I like him. He catches passes for touchdowns.
What do you think about his sexual assault allegations?
He had sex with a salt shaker. What did you say?
What do you think about Robert Kraft getting his case thrown out?
I think Robert Kraft is a great man to employ a lot of black people. Without Robert Kraft, a lot of black people would be out on the streets being thugs.
Without Robert, so you basically say without Robert Kraft, there'll be a lot more Aaron Hernandez's going around.
Yes, thank you, Robert Kraft, for keeping your Negroes under control. I don't care about their spending.
It's true. He does keep his under control.
Yeah, he had a murder with a flop house and a nigga with 2 sexual assault cases on him.
And he got rid of both of them. He kept them. He's like, you know what? I can't control these 2. They gone.
He fed them to the dogs like Calvin Candy did. I don't want to fight no more, Mr. Candy. I don't want to fight no more.
You didn't do well your last couple fights.
I believe.
Go ahead, Pedro.
I am calling you from a Cricket Wireless cell phone.
Sponsorship?
I have a very, very strong signal that I'm now calling you from. So fellas like to call in and give my opinion on the Cleveland Browns winning this game. They did a great job. Baker Mayfield is going to take our team all the way to the Super Bowl. Although they're playing my second team, the Rams, I'm just excited about Cleveland right now, how they're up 21-0.
Okay,
they showing Clay Matthews Jr.
Actually, we're watching the game right now. We're live streaming the game. It is Sunday Night Football, Rams versus Browns, and it is actually tied 3-3. Pedro.
What do you mean? I don't know what you're talking about. That is not true. My Cleveland Browns are up 21-0 against Aaron Grace's Rams. And you're lying to me. This is why I only call the Russ Limbaugh show.
Before you start spilling out some fake news, I know you're torn right now because your Cleveland Browns are playing the LA Rams. I was with you, Pedro. I was with you when you was a Ram fan. I remember. I was with you when you went to the store and asked them did they have a TJ Rubley jersey. You're like, man, that's my favorite player, him and Tony Banks. You said, I love Tony Banks because he used good S-curl in his hair.
Hey, look, I had a Tony Banks S-curl in 11th grade and ended up looking like David Ruffin afterwards.
College football had a wild day, y'all. A very wild day. Cal won against the SEC school, overrated.
It was a good game.
It was a good game. Cal's no offense. There's two things to talk about for the part of wild day. We had Cal, and then we also had on the other side another Pac-12 team, UCLA, making one of the greatest comebacks ever in a game they had no business winning, coming back from down. How many points are they down, Keegan?
I want to say like 35, 38. It was. I watched it after halftime, and it was actually pretty remarkable that some of the refs blew a lot of calls. There was one, and it all started with a wide receiver fumble. Although I think they're going to say that he was fighting for yards. I mean, he had like 6 people around him. You're supposed to blow that whistle at that point. And then he finally got stripped. He got stripped. He fumbled the ball. And at that point, it was a turning point, and that's when UCLA just kind of came back and kind of won. It was remarkable. It was quite remarkable.
College football. The people who don't know how to play defense didn't play defense, and a lot of points were scored.
Mike Leach teams did not know how to play defense, and they don't run the ball, so they can't hold on to a. And here's the crazy thing: the final score is 67-63, and I said, "Wow, it must have gone to college overtime, where they just keep scoring." No, that was in regulation. I said, "Boy, Mike Leach." Not only does he hurt himself by not playing defense, he doesn't run the ball to preserve a lead.
They did have the lead, and they still did not run the ball. The thing, it was almost like watching Andy Reid. It was like, all right, we don't. No. It was like watching Chip Kelly. It was like, all right, we don't know how to run the ball, so what we're gonna do is throw screens instead. So they threw screens and like they threw short passes, and like even the people who were announcing it was like, what are you doing? Like, run the ball.
They don't know how to run. Michael Leach has never ran the ball. He didn't run the ball when he had Michael Crabtree. He didn't run the ball when he had Cliff Kingsbury as his quarterback. He didn't run the ball when he had Wes Welker as one of his wide receivers. He never ran the ball.
And what was even more amazing, I'm not sure if you know this, but where's it at? Anthony Gordon threw for 9 touchdowns.
Yeah.
9 touchdowns. You think within 9 touchdowns, that gets you a win, right?
I would think it would get you a win, especially if you had to lead most of the game.
It's college football, man. The game that the only game I care about in college football was I didn't even watch it. Was the Cal versus Ole Miss. It was a test for Cal to see
Was it really?
Yeah, it was. They went into Ole Miss and won. That's a test. If you don't think that's a test to go into a SEC house and play a game and win it, then I don't know what you watch.
I think you could grow from it. I do.
Yeah,
agree.
it's a test.
Can grow from
it's
it.
a test.
But Ole Miss isn't. This isn't like when
no. I'm not
USC
saying
built their.
But you're
dynasty.
assuming I'm saying some crazy shit about Ole Miss.
No,
I'm
it's
just
not,
saying.
It's not that crazy.
Well, listen.
Right.
So they went into SEC school, Ole Miss. It's an intimidating place. You're in the South. A bunch of dudes from California or wherever they come from. But California goes into Ole Miss, doesn't get boat raced, shows that they can keep up with the speed of a SEC team, which, you know what I'm saying, I remember we went to a game when they played Ohio State a few years ago, and we talked about the difference in speed of the players and the recruits they were getting. So you're seeing Cal, at least on defense, getting some recruits that can keep up with the speed of play on the Ole Miss offense, which isn't great, but at the same time, they still have some SEC talent, and you're in their house, and you pull out the win. They they're now 4-0. They're a ranked team. Their offense is still pretty mediocre at best, but their defense is proving to be potentially a top 5 defense in the entire country. So I think that's what is cool to see, because I know that, you know what I'm saying, there's been some hype and some hope, but if you're going to hope on anything, it's like that this offense can sustain enough points to at least keep up with what the defense is allowing them to, and they're going and stopping a lot of teams so far. Not the best talent offensively, but they're going 2 places, beating Washington, ranked team in Washington. Obviously, we know the factors surrounding that. There was nobody in the stands because it was a rain delay of 3 hours, and they didn't finish the game until 1:30 in the morning.
Yes,
but then you go to Ole Miss and you beat them in Ole Miss. Like, I think there's something to say for that, and so that gives me a little bit more, piques my interest in that development in the Pac-12. They might have a new power developing at Cal.
I'll tell you this, and I agree with you. It is a nice benchmark, right? But I'm not going to go too far, because I remember when USC built their dynasty, when Matt Leinart first took over the Rams from Carson Palmer. He was a sophomore. They had a freshman, Lindell White, freshman Reggie Bush. They had this other running back named Herschel Dennis, who was actually the starter. And they went in for the first game of the season. Auburn was overhyped with all these they had NFL players.
Like Cadillac Williams.
Yeah, Cadillac Williams and Fred Brown. And they also had their linebackers were, I forgot, they were in the NFL.
Yeah, they had a bunch of NFL players.
They had a bunch of NFL players, and Auburn was like top 10. And that's all you heard was about Auburn. And USC went in there and ran them off the building. And I mean, they ran the ball. Like, I was like, dude, I knew about Herschel Dennis, but who are these 2 young guys? Like, Herschel Dennis ran for like 90. They had like 3 running backs run for over like 70 yards. I was like, they're running all over this team. And that game, that was the first year USC won a national title. They split it that year under Matt Leinart. Then the next year they won it straight up. And I said to myself, wow, they built their dynasty. Really, it happened a little bit before that. Like when Carson Palmer played Florida State, the year Florida State won the national title with Peter Warrick. And I remember they put Florida State on the schedule. Pete Carroll said, I put them on the schedule so my team could see where we need to be. And I wanted the recruits that I brought in for that game to see where we needed to be and why I'm trying to recruit you. I'm trying to develop this. So, I mean, for Cal, I see that it was a good game. You're right. It was going into a hard place to play. I mean, the SEC been overrated the last few years.
Yeah, it's not.
Showed last year.
Their fandom is not overrated. That's why they give them the benefit. But that's the whole point. Is that you're going into a SAC school, you're going into their home base, you're going where football is king, you're going to a place where people take it more seriously because they don't have no pro teams. You're going into a hostile environment that is one of the more hostile environments you can achieve. There's probably maybe like that and maybe 15, 20 other schools are considered probably the most hostile environments. A lot of them reside in the SEC, maybe less than 20. So to go in there and do that is just a big deal because it tells you what your program can handle, or at least what this group of players can handle. Now, they barely won because there was a controversial call on the goal line. The dude was in the end zone, caught the ball falling out of the end zone, and when he hit the ground and controlled the ball, he probably wasn't across the goal line.
He wasn't.
But time was still running, so they had to try and run the play with like 2 seconds left, and they didn't get in. They're mad because they didn't call for a booth review before they had to snap the ball off before time expired.
Yeah.
But I think if they had just let the time expire, the booth would have said, we're going to review the call. You know what I'm saying?
No, I think they can't review.
They can't review it once time expires.
So they had to.
So yeah, they had to try and run that play.
It was
a tough situation. They ran the play. They tried to QB sneak. The dude didn't get in. One Cal player looked like he was vomiting in behind the D line during that play. So it was basically 10-on-11, and they mad because our 10-on-11 we couldn't do a QB sneak. Maybe how about you call a handoff or have a second play drawn up? Say if we don't get on this play, we're going to this play immediately. Yeah. That's what they should have done. That's what good coaching does. They didn't do that because they didn't look like they knew what to do. They thought they scored a touchdown. You didn't score the touchdown. What are you going to do? You have enough time to run another play. You should have a second play ready to go if you don't get it, in the case that you don't get it.
And that's where experience comes.
They beat Washington up in Washington, and now they went to Ole Miss and beat Ole Miss in Ole Miss. Big-time games that you have to win if you want to be taken seriously. So you're putting yourself on the map. Shout out to their head coach, sponsorship. Keep doing what you're doing. Hopefully you guys can get a real quarterback and a real offense in there that can score you at least 25 points a game on a regular basis.
Yeah, he needs to find him some like 22-year-old that just graduated college, 23-year-old.
He needs to find Russell Wilson.
That was a team manager but been drawing up plays in his playbook since he was 13, like a Sean McVay type. He needs to find him someone like that because he knows defense but he doesn't know offense. Find you someone that's an offensive genius that all he cares about is football offense and hire him. Right, because you have the defense. You recruited, you did everything well on defense, but the offense looked bad. But I agree with Jared. I think like I said, I don't see it as a bigger benchmark as comparing to USC, but I still see it as a benchmark. I think winning at Ole Miss is bigger than winning at Washington for this Cal program.